Good morning. You listen to FloorDaily.net, and I'm Kemp Harr. This morning my guest is Bart Bettiga, the Executive Director for the National Tile Contractors Association, the NTCA. Bart, how you doing?
I'm great, Kemp. I'd like to wish everybody a happy Thanksgiving this week, and thanks for having me.
Sure. Well, it's good to talk to you, and you've actually been kind of through a little rough spell here. You're one of those breakthrough COVID victims, right?
I am. Thanks for asking me about it. It was definitely breakthrough. Was vaccinated back in May or June. I got the 2 of the shots. It was one of those situations where I thought I just had a cold. I got back home from traveling, and I told my wife, before I just immerse myself here in the house, I better take one of these tests. And I did. I tested positive. It's been a good 3 weeks of recovery. It was a lot worse than I thought it would be. I would share that with people. Is that I know it affects everybody different, but I didn't give it enough respect, to be honest with you. But I did get the antibodies, the injections, and that really helped my recovery. And happy to say I'm back to full speed now.
All right. Okay. So you'd never had it. I mean, you had the vaccine, but you'd never had it before that, right?
I had not.
Okay. So what I want to talk to you about, I guess 2 or 3 things here. First, let's just go through the Total Solutions Plus meeting. Tell us a couple highlights from that.
It was so exciting at Total Solutions Plus because it really felt like one of the first events for us, at least in the tile industry side, that was really almost back to normal, right, from pre-pandemic. About 3 weeks before the show, Kemp, we were thinking our numbers were going to be 50% of where they were back at our peak. Yeah. And all of a sudden, in the last 3 weeks, I just think people had a confidence level and a desire to get back together, and our numbers got back up over 500 attendees. We had about 525 attendees, and just the atmosphere of that led to such a fantastic conference, just having so many people back together. I had several contractors and distributors tell me it was one of the best shows they've ever been a part of, and I think we did put on a great event. We had great speakers and great content, but I also think that people were just really excited to get back. So I think that bodes well for TICE and coverings and other shows moving into 2022.
Yeah, I don't know if you saw this morning, we broke the news that Domatex in Germany's canceled.
I did not see that. I do know issues in Europe have resurfaced here in the cold weather month. Yeah, I hope that that's not what we experienced here. That's for sure.
I was talking to a gentleman Friday about where he thought the energy was going to be, and he thinks that surfaces may actually be a high-energy show just because the European shows are browning down just a little bit. There's an issue, I think, with the Chinese coming to surfaces as far as them having to quarantine to go back, so that might be interesting.
Yeah, I think that my understanding is that some major players, though, are coming back. I believe Shaw is coming back, and that's going to have a significantly positive impact on the show for sure, from a dealer standpoint and from a buzz. I think that's a very positive for the show.
Just to remind people, too, I should have mentioned this earlier, the TSP meeting we were talking about is where there's 3 different associations that come together that are focused in the tile market. Your association, which is focused on contractors, then the Tile Council of North America, and also the distributor organization as well, right?
Right, and it's actually 4 because we also include the Tile Contractors Association of America, which are your union signatory contractors.
Okay.
So it's 4 groups that brings it together. But you're right, it's a tile and stone type show only, and it's really a conference. It's not a trade show per se. It's a management conference with a small tabletop event.
Yeah. And so, tell us how the tile market's doing right now.
Well, I think overall the tile industry has experienced a good year, but a challenging year. As you know, the residential market's just been hot. I keep expecting that to taper off soon, but remodeling has been good. Residential has been popular all over, been solid all over the country. And that's made up for a somewhat softer commercial market. But the tile industry is very healthy right now. However, when I say challenging, as you know, the supply crisis has been just a real problem for the contracting community, certainly for the distributors as well. There's been just a lot of back orders, a lot of material, basically, a lot of material sitting on containers. And what that does is it creates a lot of delays, and it wreaks havoc on scheduling, as you can imagine. Right. And then the other part is price protection. It's a significant issue. In fact, we brought a construction lawyer who specializes in subcontractor law, and he gave a really great presentation related to really having, for contractors, having to put some price clauses, some price protection clauses in their contracts to basically say, you can't hold me accountable on a price for a project 6-7 months from now when, the reality is our prices are going through the roof. So those clauses are really helping people at least to create a level of communication with the general contractor and the project owner. And I'd say the only good thing about all of that is that it's not just the tile industry or the flooring industry that's experiencing these issues. It's everyone. So everyone understands what's happening. But it's delays in freight, and it's the cost of ocean freight that has gone through the roof like 3-4 times. And also the cost of moving the material from the port has also gone up, and there's been a problem with getting truckers for a variety of reasons. It's just been a mess. I have read some articles recently that indicate that there is some movement towards easing that issue, but it's going to take a little while before we pull out of that.
Probably should remind our listeners that I think almost 70% of the tile consumed in this country is imported, so it's a major import category. We just did our every other year commercial contractor survey, and you'll find it interesting to learn because it's going to be in our December issue. But tile,
look forward to that.
Yeah, tile is the third strongest category from flooring. The first being flexible LVT, second being carpet tile, and then third being ceramic tile. It's a strong category. For sure.
It's a very strong category. I just saw you in Chattanooga at the Floor Covering Education Foundation board meeting, and I was able to talk to some of the leaders. For instance, I talked to the leader at Fuse Alliance. He said, and I heard this from several people, which is, the problem is tile's a great category, but it's their biggest challenge to find labor,
right.
And so a lot of times products get switched because we've got to address getting labor for tile. It's something we're working really hard on in both the NTCA and with the Ceramic Tile Education Foundation, and it's one of the reasons why we joined the efforts of the Floor Covering Education Foundation, because we know we have to address bringing new people into the tile trade.
Yeah. Real quick before we run out of time, you've announced that you've got some personnel changes. Tell me about that real quickly.
Well, the NTCA, or myself, over the last several years, has overseen the Ceramic Tile Education Foundation, which is a 501c3 foundation out of Clemson, South Carolina. We just announced the appointment of Bart Bettiga, who is a 5-star contractor of NTCAs and a young leader in the tile industry, as the new executive director. And actually, Scott Carruthers of CTF will stay there. But this is all part of our effort to really double down and speed up the process of certification and to work closely with the Floor Covering Education Foundation in the recruitment efforts of bringing people in. So we're putting more effort and energy into the foundation, and of course we hope the manufacturers and distributors and contractors will support those efforts, because it's not something that we can do with 3 or 4 people. It's an industry issue, and we need their support. But thanks for asking.
We got to fix this installation issue, no doubt about it.
Absolutely.
It's good to catch up with you. Again, been talking to Bart Bettiga, the Executive Director for the National Tile Contractors Association, and you've been listening to Kemp Harr and FloorDaily.net.